Welcome to Front Porch Conversations. We're so glad you stopped by to sit a spell with us. And we also have some friends here that have come by for a little visit, and I think we're going to have a wonderful time getting to know each other. And I want you to meet Jimmy and Gail Knowles today. So we're glad you're here. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
It's good to be here.
I appreciate it. How long have you all been here?
That'll be late June of last year. So almost a year
Is
now.
that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where did you come from?
The big city of Lee.
And you didn't come far, did you?
No, we didn't have to come far.
Oh, my stars. So you already knew about Advent Christian Village.
Well, we had known about it for a short while.
You had?
Not very long at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had-
Well, and were you raised in Lee?
Oh, no.
No. Where were you raised, Jimmy?
Well, was born in Tampa, but my dad retired from the city of Tampa, and we moved up to a small town of Nashville, Georgia. It's about 25 miles north of Valdosta. That's where my mom was from.
I'll be.
So my senior year, I graduated in high school, and then I joined the military and was gone for 18 years.
My goodness. What branch?
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah.
What did you do in the Air Force?
Well, it's called ammo. It's pretty much all weapon systems, just making sure they were storing them and maintaining them and testing them, make sure they were ready to, when needed, that they were operational. So really, I wasn't raised anywhere but just everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But we ended up in Madison because we retired from the state of Georgia, Department of Corrections, both of us.
Oh,
Anyway,
Department of Corrections, both of you.
And as we were getting close to retirement, we decided, let's go back. She'll tell you in a moment, she's from Florida as well.
Yeah.
But to come back to Florida, so we went ahead and we bought 10 acres in Madison. And, as we saved our money, we put a septic in and then put a well in and so forth. So when we retired, we moved to Lee in Madison County.
I'll be.
But I was born and raised in Tampa. So she's
be.
over there, Stark, Lake Butler.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Born in Stark and went to school in Stark, but we lived just inside of Bradford County.
Okay.
Between Bradford and Union County.
Yes.
Stark and
Yeah.
Lake Butler.
Oh my. I've been through Stark many, many
Have you?
times in my travels. I certainly have.
It's a nice place.
It is.
I think we spent more time in Lake Butler than Stark because
Yeah.
it was a lot closer.
Of
5
course.
miles away. So.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
I have 4 siblings, or had 4 siblings. I have 3 sisters now. My brother passed away in 2015. But so 3 sisters left. I'm the youngest.
Do they live close by?
One lives in Alachua, one lives in Lake City, and the other lives in Lake Park, Georgia.
Well, you all are scattered all over,
We're all over the place.
Florida, aren't you?
We
Oh
are.
my goodness, yeah. So, how did you meet?
At the prison.
At prison of all
Oh,
places.
no kidding.
Yeah.
I'll be.
I like to say we met when we were both in prison.
Yeah.
What a story. Oh, chapter 2 here. Sign up now. Well, do you have siblings?
I have one brother.
One brother?
Older brother. And he lives up in Berrien County, Georgia.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you said how long were you with the Departments of Correction?
Well, just shy of 28 years. And when I retired, I had credit for 30 years because of forfeited leave.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
you might as well say 30
What did you
years.
do there?
I was the warden's assistant.
Oh, wow.
So I think I worked for about 12, maybe 13 wardens in that time.
I was going to say, you probably went through some wardens,
did.
didn't you?
We did. They average about 2 to 3 years per warden in
Do
one
they?
institution. And then every so many years they'll have like a big shuffle. Somebody retires,
Yeah.
somebody leaves or whatever, and there's a big shuffle.
Yeah.
So you never know how long you're going to have one, but on an average about 2 or 3 years.
Right. Jimmy, what'd you do there?
Well, the title was Operations Analyst. It's a It basically ran the computer systems, statistical reports for the warden, that type of thing. I started as a CO, but I got promoted up to that position.
Sure.
In '96, I think.
And you were always in the same facility.
Yeah,
That's
something-
unusual
well,
too,
it's
isn't it?
something you learn when you got your eyes open and you watch people you know, and when they go off somewhere. We call it like going outside the umbrella of a prison
Yeah,
to
yeah.
a like regional office or something. Well, in 2 years there might be budget cuts and that position is gone, you see. So
Oh, boy.
for security you stay where you are.
Of course you do. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And so yeah, we were there for duration at Valdosta.
Well, You've seen a lot of change in the correctional system, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen that?
Goodness. Well, you know, you have the changes to your facility, the administrators, when you have the big, as I said, the big shuffle that goes on. Each warden has a prerogative to change certain areas.
Do they
And
really?
They'll usually change a lot.
So it wears their fingerprint.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. For example, we had one warden who, instead of trying to catch inmates with contraband, he would put out a memo to the inmate population, and he'd say, I'm going to be posted in front of your building on a certain date at a certain time. If you come to me and bring me your contraband, nothing will happen, unless it's illegal.
Yeah.
But if I find it in your cell or on
Sure,
you, then
sure.
we're going to have a problem. And it was unbelievable how much contraband would be brought to him. And again, as long as it
Is
wasn't
that
something,
right?
as long as it wasn't something illegal, you know, which you
Yeah,
had
of
to
course,
prosecute,
of course.
he wouldn't do anything, and they would just bring it to him.
That is such a lesson in approach, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That is such a lesson.
But each warden had his own style of doing things, and they would change what they could, what they felt was important. So, and then you had changes to our policies that would come about every now and then, and that, you know, some you agreed with and some you didn't. But it was constant change, pretty much.
I want to say the inmate population changed dramatically.
Did it really?
Oh yes, ma'am. When I started as a CO, you were one CO in a building with 50 on this side and 50 on that side that you supervised. You had one officer on each side, so you had 50 inmates. And back then it was, yeah, this guy is in for life for murder, but he knows that. And in a sense, that's his home, that's his place. So when these new young kids came in, they kind of took care of straightening them up. Look, you're in my house.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
It was a lot easier on the officers at that time. And as time progressed, the inmates now, I don't know how to even phrase it, but most of them are gang members before they even walk in the door.
Okay.
And they try you all the time. All these different factions are also trying to vie for power,
Yes.
for the contraband, drugs, cell phones, and all that. It's just a different type of inmate now.
What do you attribute that to?
Just, well, personally, just the downfall of society.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
And so you see it reflected even in the prison system.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've seen, you look back when you first start, I don't even know that I could actually start as a CO today
Really?
with the way the inmates are.
Really?
Yeah, it's totally different.
I wouldn't want to.
No, I don't think I would.
I don't. If given the opportunity to go back, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't?
No, not in a million years.
That says a lot about how much it's changed, doesn't it?
It really has.
And it probably says a lot about the caliber of who they bring in today, is how they have to address those issues.
Well, we saw a great increase of staff being prosecuted for crimes with inmates in there too. That
Yeah.
increased tremendously.
Yeah.
When I first started, there was a I don't know, it was an unspoken rule. I mean, you just don't do certain things.
Exactly.
And before it was over, they had prosecuted probably dozens of officers and staff members, not just officers, but staff members who had gotten involved with inmates and got caught.
I know this isn't all about prison system, but I just wanted to say this.
No, but you know, that's who you are, and that's
Yeah.
what you know, and we want to know what you know.
Well, in today's world, the drone bringing contraband over the fence line and dropping, whether it's marijuana
Jimmy,
or
who
cell
would have
phones.
thought?
Yeah, we progressed to that. It used to be people trying to maybe smuggle in through the gates.
Oh,
Now it's coming from the air.
oh,
And I wanted to
my
say
word.
that another thing that I noticed with gangs, they will actually encourage a gang member to join the Department of Corrections and be, certified as an officer and be working there. So
word.
their loyalty really is to the gang, but now they've got an inside
They penetrated
person.
the system.
Right. And as long as you show up for work, you keep your job, basically. So they end up being a main smuggler too.
Similar to what happened on 9/11, right?
Yeah, similar to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
actually gang members applying for it and getting employed in the department. So anyway, that's that.
That is fascinating. It is.
Yeah.
Now, when you were there, is there any kind of spiritual growth available there?
Yeah,
And-
there is. But I just want to put it this way that without naming any specific groups
Of course.
or whatnot,
Of course.
a lot of it is false. Now there has to be some real spiritual growth,
Sure.
but most of it is false, and it's because they are rewarded just for going to the program.
Okay, yeah.
Just to be enrolled in this particular thing. And on the third night, we got Sonny's catering the food in. Well,
Wow.
what are you going to do if you're in there for life? You're
Yeah.
going to get that big meal.
You better believe it.
And yes, there's a lot of opportunity, and I suppose, like I said, some of them have to actually have some change, but the majority aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's reality.
Right. Yeah. So that's reflected. The culture is reflected even in the rehab
That is
part
a
of it.
reflection of the culture. Yeah.
Yeah, it
What
is.
do I get out of it?
Yeah.
I'll participate,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
That's-
Interesting.
yeah,
Well, that's fascinating. Do you have children?
no.
You don't. Okay. Yeah. And you're well, how did you come to Advent Christian Village? I mean, I know you knew it was here, but how did you said you came from the Tampa area.
Yeah, I mean, no, we at that time we didn't know about it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
We were when we were in Georgia and had the land in Madison County.
Yes.
And then moved down there when we retired.
Oh,
we moved
okay.
to Madison, there in Lee.
Yeah, okay.
And we had some elderly friends from the church in Lee, and we used to love to go yard sailing and
Yeah,
thrift
right.
stores and whatnot.
Right.
And Harvey knew of this place, and we were driving along, take a right, and take it. And
Yeah.
what is this? So that's
It's just
really how we got
you hardly
introduced
know
to it.
it's here, do you?
We didn't know.
Well, the consignment shops were where we were headed.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's where we were headed. That's where Harvey.
Aren't we all?
You knew about that and the one over here on the highway.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So that's what and then we got to talking. Hey, this is looking pretty nice here. So
Yeah.
I think I went online and asked for an information brochure or something, and
Did
got it
you?
through the mail. We started looking and planning, but as it unfolded, the Lord blessed us to be able to move here. We wouldn't have been able to actually, buy our mobile home and all of that.
Sure.
We weren't financially able to.
Sure.
But all along this whole trip, in the end, He blessed us with the land,
That's
a buyer,
wonderful.
and we did it pretty quick,
Yeah,
actually.
you could see his hand in it. You could
Yeah.
see him moving because we made the decision. We wanted to get away from the area where we were.
Yeah, sure.
And Jimmy turned to me one day and said, "Well, where do we go from here?"
Yeah.
And the thought, Advent Christian Village. And I said, I didn't say that to him. I just said, "Well, there's only one place that I can think of."
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, me too." And
Oh,
we knew what we were
B.
talking about.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
God enabled us to sell
did.
to this young man for enough money to pay off the small mortgage we had
Sure.
and buy this new home and come over here. So
Yeah.
Boy, that had his fingerprints all
It did.
over it, didn't
it
it?
did.
Oh,
It
my
really did.
word.
And once we got here, it was so surprising how much is actually here.
Yeah.
Isn't it the truth? What did surprise you that was here that you didn't know about?
The biggest surprise was that it was here at all. But,
Right,
but
right.
they offer so much. The grocery store, the little shops on the square, the restaurants, the dining hall. I mean, you know, it's true. You don't have to leave the village unless
No,
you just choose
you
to.
really don't.
And it's wonderful.
You don't
The
even have to have a
convenience of
car
it.
if you didn't
Yeah,
want
you're
one.
right. And you don't feel confined, do
No.
you?
You don't.
Yeah, that's
In Lee-
interesting.
In Lee, we had one convenience store, a Dollar General, and a consignment shop. And
The
convenience
mall.
store- That was it. That was it. If you really needed something, you'd have to go somewhere.
Yeah,
to get it.
exactly.
But here, it's wonderful. I just send him. He's
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah. There were a lot of surprises for me as well because we've only been here 2 years.
Have you?
Okay.
But I love the atmosphere. And people that visit me, and I know you're hearing the same thing, I say they just can't get over the atmosphere here. They feel
Exactly.
safe here, quiet here,
Yes.
friendly here.
Yeah.
Things that that you don't know until you experience
That's
it.
true. You
Yeah.
don't find that in the real world.
No, you don't. No, you're right. Yeah.
We
And I-
have. I'm sorry.
No, good.
No, we have been amazed at how wonderful the neighbors are.
Have you really,
Everybody-
Gail?
Everybody we have met has been just wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that.
You know, we didn't know what we would encounter when we got
Yeah.
here, but we knew God was sending us here.
Yeah.
So that turns out to be hit the nail on the head. That God sent us here, and He gave us some wonderful people to live with.
Do you have little niches that you've begun to fit into that fit you?
I don't. Well, we haven't done that much. You've
No.
joined a group of
Yeah.
fellas that Dennis arranged.
Yeah, First Friday. I don't even know the name of it. It's brand new, so
Yeah.
it's just getting off the
Yeah.
ground. And I got volunteered to help. Paul Cook, I believe,
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
Christmas trees and decorations prior to Christmas. But not really gotten involved in anything because there's so many things, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we
And,
felt that way too. You wait and see where you fit.
Right.
That's right.
As you can get busy in a
You
hurry.
sure can.
Yeah.
I want to know more about the group of they call themselves the Day Trippers.
Yeah.
Where
Yes.
they'll go and visit and be back in a day.
Yeah,
Now,
in a
that's
day.
right up our alley.
Oh,
We don't-
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't go any real anywhere
No, we
other
don't.
than we like for instance, we like bluegrass music.
Right.
Whenever we know there's a festival, you know, within range, we'll pick the day where who's playing we want to see necessarily, and we go there in the morning and we're home by night. You know, where other folks will go there and they're their 3-day weekend.
Yeah, I
No,
know.
We don't. We're home
We
for
don't
the
either.
evening.
We are too.
I also want to say, surprising, I did not know that the amount of woods and wildlife and all the behind the community center up there, the trails, the walking
yeah.
trails, all this. I don't even know how many 100 acres there are, but there's just everywhere.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we had our 10 acres up there, and most of it was woods, and I cut a trail through the woods, and I just enjoy being in the woods. And I didn't
So
even know
you're
that was
happy
available.
as a clam
Yeah, I didn't
here.
know it was available, and I don't even have to cut trails. You know.
No.
I didn't even know that was back there until I started messing around the river and looking for a place to fish, and then I was like, my gosh. So that was just a surprise to me.
Yeah, that's a real benefit. Our daughter lives right down the road from where we do, and she has deer, 14, 15 deer in her yard every
Yeah.
day at sundown. But she's had fox and of course cats and dogs and raccoons.
Yeah.
But she had a bear on her porch the other night, a little baby bear on her porch. So she has said many times she's a widow, but she said my husband would have loved this out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
That
had
would
deer.
worry me
We've
as
had
well.
deer right there in our front yard.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be.
He's got a camera on that tree out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, that's
And,
nice. Yeah.
So we have video of
Yeah,
deer and
walking
raccoons.
across the yard. And,
Yeah, of
mostly
course.
the raccoons. But
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Haven't seen a bear yet. Don't really care to.
No.
But you know, I think they're here, Jimmy.
They are. They have to
I
be.
think they are here. And it was a shock to Fran to see
Would be
those.
me
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So, well, you know, with your background and all, I'd love to hear what each of you has to say that would be your advice to young people today with the wisdom that you have. What would be your advice to a new generation coming up?
There's only one thing that really matters, and that's salvation.
Amen. Amen.
Accept Jesus as your Savior. Read the Bible, the real one,
Yeah.
and just live the way it says to. And that's really,
well
to me,
said.
that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, the great work in life is done at that point, is it not?
That's right.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What would you say, Jimmy?
Well, exactly the same thing. But I also remember when I was young, I didn't necessarily not believe, but didn't take stock in older people knowing what they're talking about. You know.
Exactly.
But when you get older, you say, you know what, they were right. So it's going to come to them at some point in life.
Yeah.
So to grasp it earlier is better. Okay,
Yeah.
because there's things I've gone through in my life I didn't need to if I had grasped that earlier.
Yeah, earlier on.
So just pay attention, get in the Word, follow Christ, and pay attention to the people who are older than you that have lived through what you're going to either go through or going through right now.
Grandma and Grandpa know what they're talking about.
Yes.
You know, that's true. That's true. I have to laugh when you say that because I have a 38-year-old grandson that reminds us, and he's very, very bright in the field that he's in, but he reminds us all the time, Nanny, my generation's so much smarter than your generation.
They would
And I
say
said,
that.
you know, and we did, as dumb as we were, we got to the moon and back. You know,
That's
it's
right.
amazing. But I think you've hit the nail on the head with learning to listen to those who have some wisdom and years and age on them. My mother used to say it's so hard to put an old head on young shoulders.
That's right.
And that I used to roll my eyes when she said that, but I don't do that anymore. I've learned to ask the
Right.
older generation what. So you know, we thank you so much for taking time to be with us today. What a delight it's been to have you, and to have your insight and wisdom, and to hear where you've been and what you've done in life. That's been wonderful. And so we want to thank you for showing up today and visiting with us on our front porch. And we hope that you'll come back and be with us again. And until then, we're just glad you came today.